So my name is Marcus Nilsson. I'm the executive producer for Need for Speed.
How he did it.
Last year, for the first time, we didn't make a Need for Speed game, and there was a reasoning behind that. The reasoning was, I've called it in interviews before, soul searching, which fundamentally means that I wanted Need for Speed to go back and think about what it really stands for, and at the same time, talk to the people that play our games to get an understanding whether or not what they like what we do, what they don't like what we do. And that during that year we learned so much about what they think, what the brand should be and what it should stand for, and really for us to build a game that could launch what we believe is the future of Need for Speed. Making this game, which is then very much focused on being authentic in its approach to car culture. We are working with speedhunters.com, which, as you can hear by the name, they hunt speed. Basically what they are, they're like some 20 people around the globe, all in different territories, and we call them our fingers on the pulse. We know what's cool in Japan, we know what's cool in Latin America, we know what's cool in Europe, in the US, and we know what people are the people to talk about, to make an impact. So the great thing with that is that we can be almost like one step ahead of what goes on, and again, going back to talking to the people that play Need for Speed, that's what they want Need for Speed to be, kind of being almost in front of what's cool right now, understand what's coming into the future. The narrative in the game is playthroughs for you to become the ultimate icon, and we have through Speed Hunters found 5 people that we think are five people or groups that are very influential in this world. Magnus Walker, the guy that drives Porsches around in downtown LA, fast at night. You got Nakai-san, famous Porsche builder from Japan. You got Risky Devils from Chicago, which is this famous drift crew built up their brand through Vimeo and YouTube videos, having great fun just in their cars. We've got Morohoshi-san, this crazy Japanese guy who's driving around in his leopard kind of wrapped Lamborghini downtown Tokyo, crazy guy. And then we have Ken Block. Obviously Ken Block would probably be the most famous guy of the 5, but he's pretty fantastic, and whatever he can do in a car is probably not worth knowing. So the 5 ways to play is really, if you think about the 5 groups or characters I mentioned, who are the icons, they really represent one of the 5 ways to play. 5 ways to play really comes from thinking about the ultimate Need for Speed experience. So when we started this game, we're thinking about, okay, what is the ultimate Need for Speed experience? Different people come up and they talk about good experience they've had, and we really came down to the perfect Need for Speed moment, if you want, is when you go super fast, you kind of slide around a corner and you wreck some things at the same time. You have cops on your tail. Your car is customized to be kind of the car you want, and you do that drive with friends or a crew around you. Once we have that, we think that we have the perfect Need for Speed experience. Then if you start breaking down those elements, right? You got speed, you got style, you got build your car, you got outlaw, being chased, and you have crude, playing with your friends. So then we went out and we found different people that could represent that. We had 5 different story threads, which can all be played through individually, however you want, and just a really nice wrapper into giving you variety in this open world of this new Need for Speed. The kind of backbone of building this game was to make it a reboot, and as I said before, a lot of inspiration comes from different titles. You can clearly see some Underground influence, you can clearly see some Carbon influence. You got All Drive, that we launched with Rivals. There's plenty of more influence, from the team and from the people we spoke to. And obviously all those learnings go into what we're making. And if you think about this open world, and actually if you think about gaming as a whole, open worlds become more and more sophisticated. We talk about something we call distraction-based gameplay. We really want you to go out in this world, thinking that I'm going to go do that. But there's so many things happening. There's a cop start chasing you through all drive. There might be other friends coming up wanting to do something else. You might see some donut spots or just roaming races that you can go after and challenge. So it really is about both picking inspiration and pick the best part of what we've done in the past, but also put it together into a composition, if you want, that is totally fresh and new. And with this, the way that we tell the story with the FMVs and the real-time compositing and the narrative that pulls you through, I think that it feels like we succeeded doing that. Yeah, for sure. The real-time compositing is really the obviously the first time we've done it. And I'm sure people played games before where they have full motion videos, but they've never been done to the kind of level of execution that we've done now, and that's down to the technology we have. The game's built on Frostbite engine. The game is having the way that we can lit this game is 100% accurate. So we can really blend that line between real and graphics in a really good way. And I think the real-time compositing is the actual kind of almost like graduation mission on that, right? Is that we can actually, in a real scene, put the car that you built, have people move around it, talk about that car, and that's obviously then real-time composite into that scene. Yeah, one aspect of this car culture world that we've seen is that people build cars with passion. It's not about showing up in the most expensive car. Actually, driving up into one of these events in a Lambo or Ferrari or stock Porsche wouldn't necessarily raise eyebrows the way that you go if you go into a car which is kind of built with passion. And looking into this world, we see a lot of elements of what they call kind of sleeper cars. Cars that look on the outside like any other car, but once you go up next to them on a red light, they smoke you. And that's the kind of theory behind this game, is that one, there are more than 50 cars in the game. Your garage can only stock 5, but you can build up those cars to be competitive with the most high-end cars. So you can, for instance, pick the 1974 142 Volvo and slowly build that up to be competitive and even beat a stock Aventador in the game.